Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're back over in our YouTube account and we're going to have a look at a collection guide that Recordate put out. But first guys, I want to talk about the Ghoulish Gallery for a minute. As much as players hate it and don't want to come in here, this is really a pivotal point of AFK Arena if you really want to be the top tier or you want your heroes to perform at an exceptionally high level. You have to go in here and you have to do the Ghoulish Gallery. That means doing 7 runs every single week. You can see I've already done 2 this week, but I make sure and I ensure that I'm doing 7 every single week. Sometimes you get a collection, a majority of the time it's not going to be anything good, but ultimately you want to go and you want to use these because not only do you want to unlock the rewards to get additional arcane staffs, but you also want to build the collections for these heroes, which makes a big game-changing difference. So let's hop over. I want to break down this guide and we'll take a look at it. All right, guys, so here it is. I love the collection update. Now, this is from the original version. So if you guys remember a while ago, Recordate did the collection update. He went through and broke this out like it is here. These are all the new heroes. So this is just an updated kind of addition to what he has already done. So let's run through this. And looking at some of these heroes, you'll see some of them don't have a lot of utility. Some of them are very, very high utility. So let's break this down. So looking at Raul on the top, that is a hero, again, not really meta, not seeing a lot of utility for him. Now, the Awakened version of Antandra, really a cursed realm. It's been used quite a bit. If you don't have her, there are a couple supplements, but she is providing main DPS or as secondary DPS. Most of the damage is erosion-based, meaning erosion right here is going to be one of the absolute big priorities. You can also see here when it comes to Scramble and Sub, Cursed and Corridor are kind of basic. So when you're building her out, attack and erosion collections are going to work incredibly well, which is what you want to build her. Now looking at Misha, Misha is buff is tied to her own defense. So very similar to what we see with the Awakened version of Lucius. Defense is a really big one here. I mean, she can reach really high values of buffing if she also has that full attack, which is going to be given to the entire team on the offensive side. And of course, the insight is another one. Even though she has a very high insight, it still has a lot of value. Then we look at some of the staples, like right here with the Awakened version of Iran. He is either a control, which we see from the crowd control from those tornadoes, or a damage dealer. This is dependent on where he is being run. Also noted that the erosion damage that he has makes the collection stronger since the CC so much within there. This makes a big difference when you're running or when you're fighting multiple heroes. If you're only fighting one, not really making sense. But if you're fighting another team of 5 heroes, when you look at the crowd control and the ability to crowd control the enemy team, like in the Treasure Scramble, does really make a big difference. Now, Braun is one that I feel like he was kind of very short-lived. We're not seeing a lot of utility for this hero anymore. He has to reach the other side of the battlefield if he doesn't have the ability. The hero is kind of worthless. A lot of players will build him out now just for tower formations, which he does work pretty well. Again, if he can reach that other side. Then we look at Randy. Randy is one of the absolute breakout heroes. We know it is agility. We know it is support. So damage dealing ability are tied to the ally with the highest damage output. Therefore, he should buff that full attack that he has, theoretically buffing his damage output as much as possible. Running him with pure attack and physical pierce is very viable. Now, also remember with this hero, a plus 40 signature item is a really, really big one on there because that is going to increase the physical pierce and the magic pierce of the hero itself, making him do more damage. And honestly, his damage scales really high if you're running him with a well-built collection. It does work incredibly well. Now, looking at the Awakened version of Thorin, the idea behind Thorin is to make him survive as long as possible in the Treasure Scramble with the SEAL team. We know if we can keep him alive and we can keep him alive for a significant amount of time, the seal is going to amplify the damage. Now, therefore, it looks like the full attack and the HP are the best options. The ERR, which is the energy recovery rate, it's not the erosion. A little bit confusing in there, can apply to Thunderclap and extend his debuffs. Now, looking at Aurelia, now this is one full erosion in there. Since her buff is tied to the own erosion, you obviously want to buff that by any means necessary. This makes erosion the absolute #1 priority. Then we do have a couple other, the full erosion and the attack when you have the SI 40 as an alternative. And again, you know, there's no way to get an absolute full erosion unless you're really, really lucky within the Ghoulish Gallery. Now, Nox is also in here, full attack and insight in there. He's a support which distributes stats to allies and increases the damage they take. Plays a classic support role of a disruption. Therefore, the full attack in the insight, you could also use right here, which I think that's the proficiency to extend his debuff duration. So a pretty unique hero. Again, a lot of these heroes coming up in that very top tier. And when you even think about the newer heroes within AFK Arena, most of them are at that S tier or higher rate upon release, which is kind of crazy. So we do have Meleon in here as well. He's based on the insight. Therefore, having as much insight as possible is recommended when playing as a support. You're looking at the full attack, which is good. Attack is also good with the SI40 because of the the Cursed Realm rounds in there. And then we have Lan. Lan, of course, is one of the SSS tier heroes, one of the absolute top tier. Buffing is tied to her own attack rating, making the attack and defense excellent options for the hero. However, since she is a highborn, you should always be careful with attack. You don't want her to have the highest attack rating. This can really make a difference. You have to pay attention when it comes to game modes. If there are heroes that specifically buff or really give things to the hero with the highest attack rating, you do not want it to be Lan. Lan is not a primary damage dealer. That's why they say the full attack is a good option for this hero, because overall you don't want her to be the highest in getting the rest of the supercharged buffs from the other heroes within formations. Then, of course, we have our tank right down here. Kregor doesn't see much besides the Curse Realm scenario or the Treasure Scramble, which is where we knew he was going to be used. When it comes to the Treasure Scramble, there are a certain set of skills that he has that really do work well within the formation, doing a lot of crowd control. And again, it seems like he is very niche for a hero that is of the Draconic faction. Not really worth it. Most of its kits center around his health and his own control, making HP and insight an absolute. But you can also do the full attack in there because he can buff up the rest of the team. And then we have, of course, Skyland. Now, Skyland, unfortunately, this is a hero for a majority of players, including myself. There is no chance of building at all. So unfortunately, he is going to stay there. He's the latest addition to the Draconic faction. Once you unlock his 9 of 9 furniture, Physical Pierce becomes quite strong on allowing him to maximize his self-Dragon Speak damage. However, you need a ton to get the full benefit. Also paired with Aurelia, and then we have Jerome in here, or we have Melkery, as they give Physical Pierce, which of course can boost him much higher. Obviously, attack is still excellent as he is a primary damage dealer. But overall, looking at these ones, I mean, even thinking of the tier list and just kind of breaking it down, when you start looking at Lan, absolutely a big priority, but then you throw Nox in there, you throw Randy in there, and then you throw Aurelia in there. They are absolute priority heroes. Even thinking regular 4 faction when you're looking at Randy, when you're looking at Misha, those are really, really big priority heroes. And you'll also notice that it's kind of crazy that we have Antandra, and we have Iran, and we have Thorin, and we have Skyland in here. So it's incredible to see how many very, very strong, powerful heroes that Lilith has introduced to AFK Arena in a very short amount of time. But all right, guys, so that's going to do it for the updated collection. I'm going to put a link down below for it. Big shout out to Rockaday for putting these out. And as always, thank you guys for watching.